And welcome back into Community Conversations here in the Concord TV studio. We're recording here in mid-May, depending on when you're watching us or listening to us, watching on YouTube or listening to our podcast or watching on our public access channels. However you are watching or listening, thanks for tuning in. And we have an interesting episode today because we are going to be talking about a little more geopolitical than we typically do, but tying it back into the community, tying it back into the Concord community. And I'm really glad that we have these two wonderful guests here that are going to be talking with us about the ongoing conflict and war in Ukraine, where it's been, guys, over 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. They've taken territory, they've been bombarding cities, and Ukraine is defending its right to exist as a country. So for our audience wondering, well, who are these guests who I consider to be experts to kind of educate us and tell us about the conflict? First off, introduce yourselves and sort of what got you passionate about the ongoing war in Ukraine and what you're doing, your efforts. We'll start with ladies first.
Well, I kind of started because Russell started. When the war first hit, wanted to do more than write just a check. So we started helping with a lot of organizations, packing up things and helping to ship, even with a company from Syria who had a common enemy. So they would send containers and wouldn't have to pay to get them to Poland and then into Ukraine. And then we found a group of 5 women, mothers all, who wanted to support their family and friends in Ukraine. They were originally from Ukraine and still had family there. And so we knew that the monies would be going directly to the people in need. And Russell was like, we could do something to help. They had a cultural fair in Londonderry, and they're going to have another one June 8th. But when we were there, we helped to sell like food and things like that. But then we started saying we could sell crafts at other fairs as well. And so that's how we began, and it's been quite a labor of love.
So Russell, was it in 2022 or has it been the last couple years? What was sort of the timing of your involvement in these efforts?
I'm not a political person at all, but somehow I noticed on the news how Russia was amassing an army of 200,000 people on the border of a neighboring country. So I started watching back in November and December of 21, and I, as everybody in the world, was just saying, oh, he's going to invade, he's going to invade, he's going to invade. And voila, he did, even though he said he wasn't going to. I'm just, people can look at this if we refer to places from time to time.
Sure.
This is the country of Ukraine, and Russia was amassing troops all along their border with Ukraine, and in Crimea, and in Belarus. So basically you had a country the size of Texas surrounded by the world's second biggest army, ready to go at any minute.
Right.
And when they did, like Marie said, I wrote a check to the National Red Cross, and that didn't feel very satisfying. So we got involved directly collecting supplies and things to send over there. Then we ran into these women who were from Ukraine, and since maybe, for the last 3 years we've been doing this.
Right.
And we find a lot of quiet support, because a lot of people come up to us wherever they see us and give us the thumbs up or throw money at us to donate and things. And it's faded from the news, but people are still thinking about it.
Faded from the news, maybe just because the whirlwind of news happening, that people sort of just forget it's still ongoing.
I think the news people, they want to hit the newest, latest, hottest, most exciting topic. When I first started, after the invasion, I would watch a program on MSNBC. They did 1 full hour every day on the war. And now they barely mention it. I think that they've moved on to things that they think people are no longer interested, I guess, and that helps. It's a chain reaction. If we don't see it, we're not interested. But so we're trying to keep it in people's minds. People
should be staying up to date with what's happening because the war is ongoing. negotiations have been sparse, if any, in terms of seeing an end to the conflict. But I'd love to know more from the both of you. I mean, we have some really beautiful artwork here, a lot of it adorned with the blue and yellow Ukrainian colors. Just about are these sort of some of the items that would be like at your booths at an arts market? Is this sort of what folks would see?
Yes. When we first started, and I don't have the stones here, we started with something quick and easy. I didn't have much art. I used to do art to give away. I never thought of selling my art, and now I have quite a few big pieces, and I've sold literally thousands of little art and cards and prints of larger pieces because it's easier to buy those. So I have a couple of tiny things here, but I've really come a long way in the art world, and what goes around really comes around. So you'll see these are the things that have been done. Russell likes to do the dot art. These are Ukrainian pieces that Svetlana has brought in, calling them souvenirs. There's the fancy professional ones, and these are student ones that Russell has that they paint, and they bring them here. That injects a bit into the economy by purchasing them, and then it gets sent and turned into medicine, tourniquets, diapers, baby food in Odessa Hospital, all kinds of things. We've helped generators over the years to get in there.
There's a piece that I saw when you and I met at Kimball Jenkins, that a painting of a quite recognizable famous person.
Yeah.
If you want to tell our audience about that one.
I didn't bring that piece because it's a bit awkward to bring, but yes, I did. The painting itself is a 11 by 14 watercolor of Volodymyr Zelensky. He's wearing the camel gear, and he's got the blue and yellow flowers because he's always bringing tributes to the fallen heroes.
Yeah, really great painting, and I think I have video footage from that Kimball Jenkins exhibit that we were at for that. So
so I've done more tribute pieces. I have a sunflower that's just opening. It's I call it Hope, Waiting for the Sun, because really, truly, they've always wanted peace since the day Russia stepped foot into their country, and that was well before this full-scale invasion in 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, the war that started in 2022 was Russia attacking them from here, all along here, and from Crimea.
Which they had already taken.
Yes,
in 2014.
In 2014, they took Crimea, and it took the world and Ukraine by surprise, and Ukraine didn't have the military they have now, and Ukraine couldn't resist the taking of Crimea, and the world wasn't inclined to help back then for some reason. So
this is something that Svetlana made. At first, it didn't have the smell of victory on it, but she would go around at the craft fairs with us, and she would open it up, and this is the smell of victory. This is because Crimea, where she used to vacation before they annexed Crimea, and before she moved to the United States over 10 years ago, she would see fields of lavender. So the smell of victory to Ukrainians truly would be that Russia would leave everything that they had annexed.
Yeah. So Svetlana, for our audience, was a Ukrainian citizen who lives in the United States now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's now president of the Dobro.
Okay. Of president of
the nonprofit we help, Dobro New England.
Okay. Yeah.
Dobro meaning kindness in Ukrainian.
Well, I'd love to know more about that nonprofit too. I'm sure our audience would as well. Is that a statewide or a nationwide organization?
It was registered with the U.S. Internal Revenue Service as a 501c3.
Right.
In New Hampshire.
but so people can donate to it and get the tax deductions and
Yep.
so on.
Sure.
And I think she mentioned this. It's run by 5 women who are from Ukraine, but they all live here now in northern Mass or southern New Hampshire.
Yep.
And they all still have family back there and friends, and they're constantly getting messages on their phones from the people they know there. We need a generator. Can you send us a generator, or $500 so we can buy a generator and things?
Yep.
So sometimes we do a craft fair, raise a few $100s, and they call us up and say, "Can you bring us the money? We need to buy long johns for the men or something." So we know where the money's going. We know when it's going there.
Yep.
It's going to a good cause.
Direct support to help the efforts.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they
Right to
don't
the people.
take any money for themselves as salary, and we don't either. And
Yep.
many people, like the pot holders and the dresses, the woman that does that, she's like a grandmother with thread flying off of her, and she only gives away what she makes. She doesn't take a penny. She helps Friends of Forgotten Children, and when she heard what we were doing, because she's Polish-Ukrainian descent, she wanted to help also.
Yeah, I'll tell this. I was saying this off air that my sister and 2-year-old niece, they were down at the First Friday where you had a booth as part of the arts market down there. And before I even knew you had a booth there, there's the mic pack. See, I said the mic pack would happen. Inevitably, it happens. But that dress, before I even saw you had a booth, that they were walking around holding one because she wanted to buy one and support the cause. And they look like just really well-made products. And
well, she was juried by the New Hampshire League of Craftsmen before she just started doing things to give away. Yes,
which that's a high standard to be a juried member of.
She does
the league.
excellent
Yep.
work. Yes.
And this is like a pot holder, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She makes these things for us to sell, and she won't even take money for the material. She says, take it all and
Right.
put it to good use.
That's amazing. So you may have already mentioned this, but what are some of the other events coming up that folks might be able to see you at?
Okay,
coming
so
up here?
the next one is in Warner, in front of the town hall, this Saturday on the 17th, and
Yep.
then after that will be
You'll be at Market Days, right?
we'll be at Market Days, yes,
Yeah.
and then we'll be at Rollins Park after First Friday.
Yep.
So that would be the 7th.
Okay. Yeah. So you'll be at Rollins Park. We've actually done a video of the arts market at Rollins. It's a nice setup and a good area, good open space to do it. And then Market Days, you're there for all 3 days, right?
All 3 days.
Once again, and that's as part of the arts market block on Pleasant Street extension, I think,
cor-
or not extension, on Pleasant Street.
On Pleasant
yeah.
Street, correct.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any new pieces of artwork that you have in the works that folks can look forward to? Anything new?
You can see my art at the DIY Craft and Thrift.
Okay.
It's at 46 North Main Street. I have a booth there with the Art Alley Cats, and so you can see the Zelensky painting and the sunflower, and also Peace is Always Beautiful. The quote by Walt Whitman is a Ukrainian woman with the floral headpiece and a dove in lavender holding it in her hands, kind of looking down, and other pieces as well. And those pieces there, I don't give 100% profits. When it's at a fair, I do, but it trickles down as well.
The DIY Craft is such a great use of that old CBS building space. We
Yes,
know some of the other artists there. It's just such a great creative art use of that old retail space.
Yes, and Kaya Fable, the owner there, she's so helpful to our cause as well. So we've done fundraisers for Ukraine within the space as well. Svetlana has taught Petrikivka, which is the folk art on these, the Petrikivka painting. There's just 4 brush strokes, and all the proceeds go to help Ukraine. So there's no cost for the space and all that. So she's very helpful.
Sounds like a fun workshop.
Yeah, and then we did the Pasanka with Maria taught the Pasanka, and we're bound to have more coming up. So,
That's great. And Russell, turning back to you, is there kind of, right as we are kind of in the early to mid-May, anything on your radar, thoughts you have going forward, whether it's about the geopolitical issues or just the efforts in general?
Well,
I'm sure you have lots of thoughts. How much time do we have?
When we started this, everybody thought the war would end really quick.
They thought Russia would march right in,
yes.
And that's not the case.
Boy, it wasn't, because Russia turned out to be so incompetent and corrupt. And so we thought we were, signing up for a short-term summer project. Now it's been 3.5 years. So we're going to continue doing this. The ladies are going to continue with the art classes and so on, and the cooking. And I just keep telling people that, don't give up and don't forget about Ukraine. And in fact, I got in a discussion, kind of a heated discussion yesterday with a teenager at our craft fair, but he was interested in what we were doing. And I told him, get information from reliable sources, keep up with what's going on, because you hear a lot of misinformation about things. And this country, fighting the second biggest army in the world, this country is the size of Texas. And like you said, they were assumed to lose this war in a week. And after they held on for a little while, countries started gradually saying, well, maybe we should help because it looks like they've got a chance. And now there are peace negotiations that might be starting soon, but Putin wants to delay this as much as he can. And we can tell by, it's not guesswork, it's just looking at his actions. And we have to do whatever we can, write to congressmen, write letters to the editor, whatever, to show your support, and let the politicians who are going to control what happens know that we support Ukraine, and we will till the end.
Yeah.
That's our message, I guess. I think Maria mentioned the name of the 501c3 we're with is called Dobro New England.
Yep.
And it is registered as a nonprofit, and you can find them on their Facebook page.
Yep.
They have some things for sale, and they have news items. And we have a Facebook page called Sunflower of Ukraine, where we're always posting updates that we'd like to have people watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also an event happening, I forgot to mention, on June 8th. It's in Londonderry in the Common. It's a Ukrainian cultural fair. And there'll be Dusha Smachna Ija, which means very tasty food.
Okay, nice.
And there'll be art and...
You've got me, yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah.
So before we wrap things up, I did want to just commend both of you. We like working with organizations and talking to people who are building community in the areas that they're interested in. And this is the war in Ukraine. It's this horrific situation. Like you said, Russell, who would have thought 3 years later we're still talking about this? But the fact that you have rallied together a group of people in our community who care about this issue and are sending their support to Ukraine and supporting their right to exist as a free nation. And the work that you guys are doing through arts and crafts and through various fundraising mechanisms, it's commendable. So on behalf of the community, thank you for the work that you're doing. Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap things up?
Everybody keep the faith and help Ukraine until they win.
Yeah. There we go. And there is hope. There is hope. So
hope reigns.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with that, thank you, Russell. Thank you, Marie. Thank you to Ryan. Thank you, Mike, our staff behind the scenes. And this has been an episode of Community Conversations here at Concord TV. We appreciate you watching and or listening to the show. If you have suggestions for other guests or topics, let us know, either comment or let us know, because we're going to try to do these episodes about twice a month if my staff can put up with the workload. That's usually what it comes down to. But we are here for you. We love what we do, and we're looking forward to the next one. Thanks.